and welcome to Science Never Stops. I'm your host, Joseph Vick with the U.S. Space and Rocket Center, and today's topic is, what is a graph? Now, graphs show us information as a visual image or picture, and we call this picture representation data. Now, data is any information you collect and organize, and organized data allows scientists and lay people like us to see clearly the results of their experiments. And organized data put together is what we call a graph. Now, if you look at the smiley face, is that a graph? It's a picture visualization of happiness, but it doesn't show plotted happiness over time. It's just an image. So, to do and have a graph, you need to have certain types of things for it to fully be a graph. And the first thing you need, like if you're reading any good book, you'll need what's called a title. So with any graph, you will need to make and establish a title so that with that organized data, you have that so that the reader reading your graph will know, okay, this represents the number of ducks found in Big Spring Park during the summer season. So that would be something along the lines of a title. It addresses what your graph is about, how you're organizing that data. And for any classic graph that comes into our mind, we have two different spots. So I drew a right angle there, but along the horizontal piece here of our graph, that is what represents our x-axis. That is our x-axis, and then the vertical backbone section is our y-axis. Each one of those pieces of information help us to plot or organize data in a set way for us to represent how the main body of the graph is going to look. So the next part is the big important part. The most important part is the data. The data is located in the body, the main part of your graph, and that data can be represented in various different ways depending on what your graph is. We'll go into that just a little bit later. And then later, let's say your data is organized in color. You may want to have here on the side a key or legend that addresses your red, yellow, green, etc. colors, or it could be symbols that you are showcasing with your data set inside of your table, that you want me or you, the reader of this graph, to be able to understand, to fully grasp what that data set is and what it means and what it showcases with your experiment results. So there are three major types of graphs. Now we're going to go over these in detail with different videos, but the first happens to be a line graph. So we have a line graph, and that is you have your x and your y, and on a line graph you organize your data set using line representation. So you have a graph that lines move according to up or down value sets on your graph x and y axis. The second type is what you call a bar graph. Now a bar graph still has your x and your y axis, and it is represented just like the name. You use bars in various height or length, depending on how you want to set up your graph, to showcase the value of your data, how high or how low, depending on how high, long, or tall are your bars on your graph. And then the third is very different from these two, and the third we call a pie graph. And again, like its name, it looks like a pie. And just like a pie that you eat during the holidays, it is divided into slices or sectors, depending on how you are representing your information. And that is measured in percentages of the whole, because you're dividing those pie slices. So each one of these are the three main types of graphs. We're going to go over those in more detail with videos to come, but I want you to, now that we've gone over what is a graph, some of the major types of graphs and what makes up a graph, is to go out and discover graphs out in the world, whether it's on the television, in books, and news media. Look at these graphs and see what they have in common. Look for the title, the X and the Y axes, how they plot the data, and if it has a key or a legend. See if they have similarities or differences. Are they colorful? Or are they just black and white? So I recommend go out there, look at different types of graphs, and even make up some of your own if you wanted to practice making up some on your own. So graphs and data never stops coming in the world, and also remember, science never stops either.